Oh, we're going to the future, don't worry about the past. You join me. Thank you. You join me inside the 2022 Acura MDX, building on the most successful three-row SUV nameplate ever. Acura sold more than 1 million of these MDX models since it was introduced in the year 2000, so they really didn't want to screw this all-new generation up. Therefore, they gave it the works. We got a new exterior design, new interior design, new front double wishbone suspension for improved ride quality and handling, and the powertrain, well, that's the same. But there is a Type S coming this summer with improved performance, so we can look forward to that. But this is the MDX we're working with right now, and it is competing in one of the most contentious segments in the automotive landscape. Just some competitors off the top of my head. We've got the new Lincoln Aviator, the new Genesis GV80, the Audi Q7, the list goes on. Where does this new MDX stack up with all the changes Acura has made? That we're gonna find out today on Miles Per Hour. And there it is, the 2022 Acura MDX A-Spec. Few things to note to start this video. One, this is a pre-production model, meaning it didn't get that final round of quality control checks before they rushed it out of the factory to get it into journalists' hands so we could do our reviews. So that means there are going to be some minor exterior and interior defects that you won't see on dealer-delivered production vehicles. Here's an example. See these panel gaps right here? That's not going to be production spec. It should drive just like a production 2022 MDX, however. Next thing, it's a windy day. You can probably see the trees rustling. So hopefully there's not too much feedback on this mic. You can bear with the exterior walk around. It will get quieter for the interior portions. Third thing, this one right here is clad in a premium Acura paint job. That was weird to say. Premium paint called liquid carbon metallic. Will cost you an extra 500 bucks. I think it's a beautiful hue with that sparkling metallic coming off the surface there. And goes great with the A-Spec accents, the black gloss treatment that we see around the borders of the grille, for the fog lights, headlight housings, mirror caps, window trim. I'll get into all those in a second. And I love, well, you know what, before I dive in any further, let's quickly chat about the channel, real brief here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It's gonna be great for you because you'll get access to daily POV day drives, POV night drives, live Q&As, and reviews like this one. Don't wanna miss out on any of that, so just hit subscribe and tap the bell to get notified. And if you like the content on this channel, you wanna support us, you can do so simply by liking, commenting, and sharing this video. Or you can go above and beyond, become a patron on our Patreon accounts, or become a channel member, an MPH member on YouTube. Just join up. We really appreciate that support, any of the forms that I discussed, because it helps us know that we're doing the right things, you like this content, you want to see more of it. It also keeps a roof over our heads. Okay, back to the 2022 MDX as the wind picks up. The concept MDX that they released a few months ago looks so sleek, and everyone was sitting there going, man, I hope that the production model looks like that. And it does. I love that. I love that they didn't deviate from that design language. Such a handsome exterior. We'll get into the interior in a second. Also looks great. But, you know, they really hid the additional length and width within a very sleek exterior design. So you've got 2.8 inches of additional length in that wheelbase that's really going to help with interior volume, passenger and cargo. And it has a really nice stance. We'll start at the front with Acura's Diamond Pentagon grille, aptly named because there are diamonds, see these, in the pentagon shape of the grille. They are exploding out from that oversized Acura logo. And that logo houses some of the driver assistance technologies, some of the sensors. It's a distinctive look, very handsome, like that. And then we've got these LED headlights that are going to be standard on every MDX, along with the LED chicane effect, Acura's name for it. Daytime running lights. These up front, and then the chicane effect tail lights help distinguish this vehicle at night on the road. You can really tell easily that it is an Acura model. Down here, I love the creases and lines of the new MDX. So easy to follow on this car. Look at this one. So you've got the headlight, the corner of that follows it down, cuts in, comes down, it doesn't stop there, continues down to this line right here that runs along the front end. That and the character line, look at this strong character line that falls around the whole car. So you start up here with the nose, comes in, goes over the headlight, comes along this crease, ignore the panel gap, and runs along the whole side of the car, gets to the back end, and then tucks around and continues. A wraparound design line. Very neat. What's not neat is that these are closed off inlets, non-functional. How much would it have cost to develop functional ventilation for those front tires and brakes? I don't know, but I think it might have been worth it. They didn't do it. They're just hoping you're not going to look too deeply at that. Down here, the A-Spec and advanced trims are going to have LED fog lights. See more black accents below those. And then over here, an actual functional front air dam, bringing cool air into that 3.5 liter V6. Stepping back, looking at the front quarter. See them talk about the nice stance. Just sits very squat and, dare I say it, aggressively on those wheels. I dare because it's an overused term. Moving to the side, the standard MDX is going to get 19-inch wheels. You step up to the Tech, A-Spec, Advance, and you're going to get 20-inch wheels. These wheels are unique to the A-Spec, and unlike the TLX A-Spec, whose wheels I just thought looked so low effort, so budget, these look a bit better. They're not dramatically better because they still look flat to me. Maybe it's the color of the paint or something. It's the color of the paint, and also the fact that there is, even though there is depth here to the designs, there's not hard lines. There's not like brush metal finishes for the outside of the wheel, so you don't see the dimensionality. It just looks kind of flat at first glance. I would love to see a bit more effort applied to the wheels, but the actual designs are not bad. They're certainly better than that TLX. And these are wrapped in Bridgestone Alenza all-season tires, 255 section at all four corners. And these Bridgestones have been developed explicitly for the MDX. A-Spec badging here on the side, looks cool. It's like A-Team, A-Spec, black gloss for the mirror housings, window trim, black gloss for this side garnish that runs along the bottom of this sharp crease that cuts into the bodywork. Stepping back, here's where you can really contrast something like the Durango I was just looking at, yet another 3-row SUV, non-luxury but 3-row, that looked minivan-esque from the profile because it had all this weight, visual weight to the back end of the vehicle. This is just as long with just as much space, yet they don't have that visual like heft to the rear end of the vehicle. They mask it very well with good design. This nice line that comes into the C-pillar, the gentle tapering of the roof line to a more aggressive line back there. Well done, Acura, on the profile of this. Looks sleek. Then moving to the rear end, see that sun just dances on that character line along the side of the vehicle. So good. Getting to the rear 3/4. Anyone else see a little bit of Mazda CX-9 from the rear 3/4 of this vehicle? It's the only angle that I see any other 3-row SUV in the design of the new MDX, but I see a little bit of Mazda CX-9. Not a bad thing. That's a very good looking SUV. Just a comparison I made. Then getting to the full-on back, we can see those same chicane effect LED taillights united with the chicane effect for the daytime running lights. Just a really cool checkmark looking thing back there. Distinctive A-Spec badge below that. Black gloss treatment for this bumper piece. Super handling all-wheel drive. All of the A-Spec models are going to be super handling all-wheel drive. Up here, we've got a subtle roof-mounted spoiler with black gloss treatment for the border there. Didn't overdo it there. And then down below, dual trapezoidal functional, yeah, you see that pipe, functional exhaust ports. Exhaust ports. Now it is funny how small the diameter of the pipe versus how wide the outlet is, but hey, I will take the fact that they are actually functional. They're not fake exhaust ports anywhere. And then we've got a plastic diffuser with some design etchings on it. And that's it for the exterior of the 2022 Acura MDX. So let's hop on inside and see how that looks. On our way in, we'll see we've got keyless entry for the front and rear doors. That's going to be standard on every MDX. So you can leave the key in your pocket, just pull on the door handle to unlock it, to lock it, press your less damaged thumb on these 3 tabs right there. Opening up, we'll see we've got the red interior options. All A-Specs either come in black or red leather interior. And they're upgrades over the leatherette seats that are standard on the MDX. They're leatherette with heating as standard. These are perforated Milano leather for the borders, and then we've got suede inserts, also perforated. These are some handsome seat designs, also very comfortable. And in addition to the heating, they now have ventilation and an auto mode that if you press will decide whether to heat or ventilate your seat depending on the outside air temperature. That's cool. These seats also have 3-position memory and are 12-way power adjustable with 4-way lumbar. You probably will be able to find a comfortable seating position in the MDX. Just my thought. Material quality is pretty good. We've got some injection molding up here that's not very soft. I wish it was thicker and softer, but then it transitions into leather with black contrast stitching. You're either going to have black contrast stitch or red contrast stitch on black. And then we've got some black piping for those seats. So yeah, this is all leather, pretty soft, pretty good feeling. And then it transitions down here, typical with these vehicles. At the belt line, transitions to harder plastic. But as hard plastics go, this feels pretty solid. Doesn't feel like it's gonna break very easily. Then up here, we've got the ELS Studio 3D sound system. This is an upgrade over the standard Acura 9-speaker sound system, which is then going to upgrade to a 12-speaker ELS sound system. This is the top of the line on the A-Spec, the 3D 16-speaker sound system. And to learn more, I left one of these cards. Acura filled this car with these little cards giving bits of information because they want to show off the Amazon Alexa system that is now standard on every MDX. So let's try it out. Alexa, tell me about ELS Studio 3D Premium Audio.
Here's something I found on the web.
Yeah, close enough.
According to FoxAcuraFelPaso.com, the ELS Studio 3D Premium Audio System was created by a Grammy-winning record producer and allows you to have a better listening experience with high-quality sound from the speakers.
Okay, that's a bit of information. All right, but that's just showing off the Amazon Alexa system. Back over here, we've got a power tailgate as standard. So you press this button, hold it for a second, and it will raise the tailgate. You can set the height of the tailgate in the infotainment. And then to lower it, press and hold again for a sec, release, and it will go all the way down. You can't release it and have it stop at a certain interval like some other premium luxury SUVs. So other materials, we've got this genuine aluminum trim, and check this out. If you go in close, see this design? Saw the same design on the Lamborghini Urus. Lamborghini Urus, I didn't say that properly. It was just funny to see that same checkered, and it is textured design on both these SUVs. This also is going to be ambient lighting up here and a few other places inside the cabin. The A-Spec gets the 27 color ambient lighting. That is not standard on the MDX, but I'm so glad that they have it. These are not aluminum, plastic, but high quality feeling door handles. And then we've got some piano black gloss that we'll see in a few places around the cabin. Don't love it, but it looks nice for a little while until it gets dirty. So, other things on the A-Spec. You're gonna get the aluminum pedal covers that look pretty good. These A-Spec sill plates, tread plates. Every MDX is going to get a panoramic sunroof, pretty big one at that, brings in a lot of light to this cabin. And every MDX is also going to have a massive wireless charging pad. You can fit any size smartphone in there, I guarantee it. Maybe not your iPads and stuff, but your smartphones will fit in there just nicely. A-Spec also gets, let's hop in, okay? Let's get out of this wind. A-Spec also gets a new flat bottom perforated leather wrapped steering wheel with red contrast stitching in it. It's a smaller diameter than before and thicker, and it just has these really nice grip slots in here for your hands to just nestle into. And then here we have aluminum. Are these aluminum? These might be plastic, but they're okay sized paddles. They're not tiny. They're okay sized. There's a decent amount of play on the paddle, so you feel like you're actually changing the gear. You're not sure whether there's no confusion whether you're actually changing the gear or not. Turn signals. And then of course there's a one touch. Over here, we've got some controls for your safety, your active safety features. The MDX comes standard with a suite of active safety features. You've got blind spot monitoring, you've got automatic emergency braking, automatic brake warning, you have rear cross traffic alerts, adaptive cruise control with lane keeping and lane centering assist, and traffic sign recognition. It's all standard in the MDX. Love that. E-brake is going to be over here. Push to engage, pull to release. I forgot. Close this. See how that sounds? Pretty solid. You do have to definitely close the door, because if you only do it halfway, then it's just going to do that. Some doors you don't really have to try all that hard to close it. This one you got to give it a solid pull. Let's do a quick pan of the interior. As you can see back there, visibility is pretty good. There's going to be a little bit of a blind spot where that seat right there kind of overlaps with the C-pillar, but it does overlap, so you're not getting double blind spots. You can use that back window just to my left of the passenger headrest to see out of, and there's a good solid rear window. What we don't have in any trim level is a digital rear view mirror. I would like to see that added to the MDX. Okay, coming back to the steering wheel. Hard plastic here. Wish this was either fake leather or some nicer injection molding. Would upgrade the look and feel of that right there. But the steering wheel, I'm just such a big fan of this wheel. Just the right size and feel. That's good stuff. Over here we have some of our driver assistance features. This is how you turn on lane keep assist. This is how you adjust the following distance for your adaptive cruise control. This is a nice textured piece to go through some of the settings on the 12.3-inch Audi Precision Cockpit, which sounds a lot like, oh, I just said it. Acura Precision Cockpit. Sounds a lot like Audi Virtual Cockpit. Just putting it out there. But it is a very good 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. It is reconfigurable. You can go through these settings here. Okay, so trip computer, navigation, oil life, tire pressure. This is the power application of your super handling all-wheel drive. You can see that in real time, along with the G meter, driver attention level, blank space, some of your active safety features, which ones are engaged right now. Then you can go into gauge settings, and we can change from this gauge layout, which is the crafted look, to advanced. So a little more modern interpretation. Your tach is on the left, increasing like that. Speedo's on the right. Neither really changes up dramatically the look of this gauge cluster, but you know what? It's a pretty good gauge cluster, high resolution. The graphics are acceptable. It certainly looks better than your average Honda gauge cluster. And that's going back out. Engage your cruise control right there. Your wiper settings and stuff are on the right stalk with a nice looking metal piece at the end, aluminum piece at the end. Over on this side, you can adjust the left gauge cluster. So as you go through the different drive modes, you can change some of these things up, including going into individual, which will calibrate some of the color options at your choosing. But you can press this apps button right here, and you can look at the different settings we can show here. We can show our Sirius XM radio, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Alexa. Sorry, it's getting really difficult to read. Oops. No thanks.
I couldn't find the difficult to read.
No thank you. Jeez. She's so persistent. Bluetooth audio, playlists, USB audio, different radio settings. So those are all the apps that you can show on just this left display here. You can go back out if you want to, turn volume up here, turn off the audio with this button right there. It's all very clear. How you're using this display is very clear. You can add on, if you go, sorry, you can't add it on. If you have to get to the advanced trim, the top of the line trim, to have the 10.5 inch head-up display, I would think that would go with the A-Spec, especially if you're focused on driving, keeping your eyes on the road. That's the A-Spec. It would make sense for that to be in this vehicle, but alas, it's only in the advanced 10.5 inch full color head-up display. You also get on every MDX model a 12.3 inch infotainment with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Thank you that they're wireless. It's so much nicer. It's got a faster CPU, better resolution, better graphics. It has been updated for sure. You are still using this trackpad down here, and it's better. The sensitivity to your inputs is definitely better. You do find sometimes, though, that if you don't put your finger on the right spot in the trackpad, you really have to start far enough left or right to scan all the way across. Otherwise, you're going to run out of real estate, and you'll be like, if you start here and you're like, let's go down. I don't know. Okay, it's hard to show the example. Sometimes you can find that you've run out of real estate on the trackpad, but you haven't made your way all the way across, and because it defaults by going away, you have to pick your finger up and try all the way over again. That gets kind of frustrating. I will say this is definitely improved over the last iteration of Acura's True Touch. That's what they're calling their infotainment. It's definitely better. And this trackpad is fairly logical. This is definitely better than the Lexus I was just in with their, whatever they call their system, which is so annoying. This is much, much better. What I don't like is that you can't adjust. You can't go into settings and adjust the swipe direction of this. It's always going to be what a computer call it, natural or inverted or whatever, where you swipe up to go down, down to go up. That's just, to me, not logical. Makes sense to a bunch of other people. To me, it's something that I now have to learn. And when I go back to my computer's trackpad, it's going to be completely different. So I'm constantly going to have that mental block with this. This is turning into a rant. I'm just saying, sometimes I wish you could at least go in here, not sometimes, I wish you could go in here and adjust that specific operation, how you swipe on the system. And again, same deal. It's like swipe left to go right, swipe right to go left. I wish you could adjust that. But hey, at least it's better. This is improved. It is not the best user interface of any luxury vehicle. BMW's iDrive, Mercedes-Benz's UX system, MBUX system is still vastly better, but it's improved. The graphics are better. Don't have any complaints with that. And you've got some hotkeys here like the home button. Navigation is going to be standard on tech and above trim levels. To do offline. You also can't pinch and zoom on this. So I would like to pinch and zoom for the map. You can't do that. You have to go hit this explore button to swipe with two fingers around to explore. Then you hit the back button. And if you want to zoom in on something or zoom out, you have to track over, then zoom out or zoom in. It's kind of frustrating, So it's not like a smartphone intuitiveness, but it's okay. Cabin talk, that's something that's also on the A-Spec model. So you got this PA system, so I can easily communicate with my second or third row passengers. They can do the same thing. Smart shortcuts, that's another thing they added to this latest iteration of True Touch. So it's got some AI learning, like very limited, where it can learn like people you call, routes you go to, and it will give you those shortcuts as prompts, options like, hey, it's 5 p.m. on a Friday. You probably want to go home. Here's the route home. Those kind of things. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, I will show you some B-roll. It just takes up this portion of the screen. It doesn't take over the full 12.3 inches. It is this over. So it's not as fully native integrated as like BMW's iDrive system, but it's okay. So that's the infotainment. I've spent long enough on that. More of this. It is not, is this actual leather? It's hard for me to tell. This might be leather, might not be. It's probably faux leather. But it is a nice feeling material that runs all along the dashboard with that contrast stitching there. That's good. And then we've got more of that checkered trim, aluminum trim that runs across. Under that, black gloss, a lot of black gloss in here. And these are some things that you're going to touch, so they will smudge and they will scratch. Your start-stop buttons over here, that looks fine and dandy. The air vents don't feel too cheap, that's good. The climate controls, I'm glad there is a physical climate temperature up and down. Tri-zone climate control is standard, so you can have 2 zones up here, 1 zone back there. There's your auto button for your seat ventilation or heating, or you can manually go in and ventilate or heat. Down below that, we've got a start-stop system that you can turn on or off. I like that that's a button you can press, but it is something that's on the black gloss, so it's going to scratch and smudge. Brake hold, also glad that's a button. Over here, press this, and this is kind of neat. Yeah. And then you've got a USB-C and USB. This is the only USB-C port in this vehicle. The other ones are USB, or wireless smartphone charging pad. And then here's your drive select. So just like the NSX supercar, just like the new ILX, this is in this, you know, vertical orientation here. Park, press back for reverse. The car has to be running. Let's actually turn the car off real quick because I want you to see this goodbye graphic. Pretty neat. Start it up. Also cool. Go to reverse. Brings up the backup camera. Again, it doesn't take over the whole screen. And the bird's eye view is only on the advanced trim, not on the A-Spec. And this is not a touch monitor anywhere. So I like that, you know, it's not as distracting because you're not touching it, but this being your only way to control it. Otherwise, you've got some seek settings and volume controls over here. So if you want to control this, say I want a different backup angle, use the trackpad to find it. Full back. And then wider angle there. Neutral, drive. Cool that that has a little surround now, so you know you're in drive. And then you press drive again, and now you're in sport drive mode. Park, press that button there. Your drive modes, just like the NSX, yet again, you've got this big knob here. This is so intuitive. This is unlike this. This is very user-friendly, very easy to know which drive mode you're going into. You get to crank it, and now I'm into comfort mode. Crank it. Now I'm into snow mode. Look at these graphics. Cool. Crank right. Crank right. I'm in normal. Guess that's the normal things you see when you're driving normal. Crank right one more time and you're in sport. Ooh, red tunnel. And then press for individual mode. Hold. And now you can adjust the things in individual mode. So you got to use the touchpad to adjust these settings. But you go into sport engine, comfort, normal, or sport. I've adjusted it to comfort steering, but you can choose comfort, normal, or sport steering. Suspension, 3 levels there. Start stop system on or off. Gauge, how do you want that to look? What lighting do you want to show up when you go into individual mode? Trying to do too much here. Normal, comfort, or sport. That's sport, that's normal, that's comfort. So yes, of the 27 ambient colors, a few are going to be programmed for each of your drive modes. So you lose out on those 3. That means you really have 24 individual colors that you can choose from. So let's show you how that works. So go to home, go into swipe right to go left, settings. I honestly have to say that to myself every time. System, nope, it's not system, back. Vehicle. Lighting setup, yes, lighting setup. And accent light theme. So they don't call it ambient light, they call it accent lighting. And then these are the different options you can choose from, along with programming 3 of these to go with your comfort, sport, and normal drive modes. Or I guess you don't actually program them, they are default. Comfort is blue, normal is kind of gray, sport is red. So those are your accent lights. That's this whole arrangement here. You do have a physical volume knob with a knurled finish. That's neat. Physical seek adjustment there. Little cubby in here. A nice pad. Really nice pad. So if we are going to use the trackpad, I do like this design here. So you can rest your elbow there, or your wrist there, and then you can kind of use the trackpad easily. Cup holders, nice wide opening. We'll get into whether they actually fit a big bottle though in a second. And then this is the same leather with contrast stitch. There are 2 different levels that you can access for the center console. Open it up the first level, and you got your keys, and let's look at the new Acura key for the MDX. This new shape, and some of your driver settings are programmed to the key fobs. You bring this key fob, and it's going to know which of the, where your door mirrors, your steering wheel, your seat settings, All that are going to be programmed into the key fob. Acura imprinted on the side, and then on the back, lock, unlock, and hold for trunk release, and then your panic button. I like the key design. Feels a bit heftier as well. Second level, pull this up, and now we've got all those cards that I discarded. I wasn't kidding about how many of them they gave me. You've got a USB port, and then you've got a DC socket in there. For another DC socket, we can go this way over here, and we can see this one. Zoom in. There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. There's your other DC socket on this side. So you got a radar detector, that's probably where you'll patch that one through. Then on this side, more of that faux leather with a contrast stitch, aluminum trim, black gloss. And then here is your glove box. Reasonable size, nice and wide, pretty deep. And then your above storage for your sunglasses, padding in there so they're not going to get all scratched up. Then here we've got LED spotlights. For your panoramic sunroof, here are your adjustments. Tilt up, then pull it back. And this actually opens quite a bit, so you can open it to there or press again and we'll go all the way back. Nice big sunroof opening. Enjoy that. And then you can close up the sunshade. It does take a little while to close. It's faster to open though. But you can see it completely blots out the sun there. There's no light trickling through. Showed you the rearview mirror. At least it's a big rearview mirror, but yeah, digital rearview mirror would be nice. Nice big vanity here. This black headliner is going to be standard on the A-Spec. And then it slides. And it slides all the way too. I appreciate that. It doesn't just slide to there and some light trickles through. No, it goes all the way back. That's good. And then your grab handle right there. All right, so let's hop into the second row. See how that's going. Check this out, I forgot to show this. Capless fueling. Everyone needs to take note. Capless fueling is the best. Okay, opening up and looking at the second row of seats here, we can see how far that panoramic sunroof comes back. So it really just brings in all that light. It doesn't stop there, I've seen a lot of them, and these people are really mostly in shadow. It comes all the way back, that's good. So the same designs for the second and third row of seating as the front row. I've seen it where like they just give up on the third row. That's a bit of a letdown. Here, Acura stuck true to that same design, which is a really good look. Seats are very comfortable, and now they can recline further and slide further, so we have additional second and third row legroom. Bring it up. Looking at the door panels, A-Spec models are going to get these rear sunshades. Actually, Tech and above get the rear sunshades. Pretty cool. These are very valuable. And the same material quality as in the front. We've got that aluminum trim. We've got the injection molding, the leather, the hard plastics. And again, nice big cubbies back here like the front. And auto, one touch down and up windows in the back. Love to see this on luxury vehicles. It should be on every luxury vehicle. The one touch. Back here, this is harder plastic. I wish this was injection molded. This piece right here that you're actually going to touch most of the time, this is better feeling for your envelopes that are going to slot in there. But yeah, this is hard plastic. And let's see what the legroom's like with this second row slid back. This is my knee room situation, sitting behind myself at 6 feet tall. I've got ample knee room. The foot pockets are pretty deep, so I can slide my feet forward. And again, if I need to recline, pull on this tab, slide back, and you can really pretty well lounge back here. You do have grab handles and your reading lights there as well. Here's a speaker so you can hear some of that ELS Studio sound system. Quick look at the front dash. Very nice design language to that dashboard. Really flows out nicely. Here, looking at what we've got, this is our tri-zone climate control. So your third zone's back here, air vents, 2 USB ports, not USB-Cs, and then another DC socket. They really like the DC sockets. Okay, And then, because we cannot forget this, this is one of the coolest parts of the new MDX, this middle seat portion. You can either have it folded down like this, where it's a full center console with some storage and then cup holders, or pull this tab right here. And now you've pulled that tab, you've raised it up, and look, you've got a middle seat. And unlike these seats on the left and right, which slide forward and backward, that one doesn't slide, but it does recline like these seats. Pull this tab yet again, push back with your arm, and look, you're lounging. How lounging are you? Let's see. Full-size adults sitting in the middle seats. Obviously know where to put my feet here. You don't want to sit like this forever. So maybe you ask very nicely if you can commandeer some of the underfoot storage space, left and right. And now you're lounging, and you've got headroom. Look at that. Headroom in the middle seat as a full-size adult. Amazing. Yes, the shoulder, hip, and headroom and legroom have all been improved for the second and third row. So that also means that, of course, I've got headroom for this left and right seat. This is with the seat up, still have headroom. Recline it. Even more headroom. Yeah, so you're good. You're good on space in the second row of the Acura MDX. And if you don't want a middle seat or a center console, you can completely remove this. Pull this tab yet again, and just like that, the middle partition is gone, meaning that every MDX has the capacity for captain's chairs in the second row for a 6-seater setup, or you just add that back in for a bench and 7 seats. This thing also isn't that big or heavy that you couldn't just do this on the fly if you need to make space or get to that third row easier. Throw that in your garage, and you're good. If you want a different way to the third row, you press this button here on the side. It will angle and slide forward, giving you an alley. Not a super wide alley. I think the Kia Telluride gives you more space. The BMW X7 gives you more space. But you can get to that third row. Let's go. And we'll look at 2 different ways the second row can be configured for legroom options. So slide this back. This is going to be in the middle setting. So there's 3 different slide settings: all the way forward, middle, all the way back. This one's all the way back and angled furthest back. This one's in the middle with no angle. Can we fit? Okay, bring this one over. Okay, so there is decent foot pocket space, so I can reduce the knee angle of this knee. I've got about 1/2 inch. If that middle seat was there, this would kind of be my setup. But since it's not, it can hang out. And yes, I can fit with my legroom. What I can't fit is my headroom. My head is on the roof because there is no recline for the third row seating. So Acura, you gave us more leg room and headroom and hip room and all that, but you couldn't add recline to the third row. That seems like a miss to me, because now the full-size adults, even if they fit with their leg room, can't fit with the headroom. Now let's show a worse configuration. So this is, if you really have a tall passenger in the second row, this is the setup for your third row passengers. Okay. All the way back, this knee is pressed all the way into the seat. This one, if the middle seat was there, this would be on my setup and it wouldn't work. But this is just not going to be comfortable. But it doesn't matter because I still can't fit my head. That's not good. You do have some reading lights back here. On the advanced trim, you are going to have USB ports, 1 on each side. This is the A-Spec, so we don't have that. Also, this is really hard plastic. Not a comfy place to rest your arm. Do some hooks back here. And you have a big enough window to see out of. But yes, so it's not the ideal digs in the third row in the Acura MDX. And let's just see what our legroom is like in that middle adjustment for the second row. Okay, so I still have some knee room, not nearly as much. And this isn't as comfortable sitting all the way upright. In that position, we know we've got space. And yes, with the additional headroom added, I have plenty of headroom back here. That's great. Okay, and now let's go check out the cargo space. Let's close this up and go to the trunk now. If we had the advanced trim, we would have hands-free tailgate openings, so you just have to kick right here and the tailgate would open up. But we don't. We've got the A-Spec, so you got to press this button right here to open it up, or hit it on the key fob. The advanced trim also has a walk-away close feature where you press the button and turn to leave, and when you exit the 1 meter radius around the tailgate, it will automatically close. A-Spec doesn't have that, so you press the button, watch your head, because it's going to close on you. I was also wrong. I said that the way you adjust the height of the tailgate was in the infotainment. It's actually right here. You just hold to set the height. Regardless of trim for the MDX, we're going to get more cargo space. So 2.3 cubic feet of additional space behind the third row means we've got 18 cubic feet of space. And fold the third and second row down, and now we have a max of 95 cubic feet of space. That is plenty. We also have some pretty neat storage solutions. So you lift this up and there's space in there, or you can lower this to a new load floor height. So you got a 2-position load floor. Acura says this space is just enough for an up-a-baby stroller, a trendy up-a-baby stroller. I think they literally said that in their press release. I'm a dad now, so stroller accommodations matter to me. You also have 2 sides. It's a reversible load floor. So you got this carpeted side, or on this side, we now have this plastic, easier to wash down with some grips in it. Way to use that for your load floor. So I can put that in there like that. Looky there. Off to this side, we've got a bigger cubby here for, I don't know, gallon jugs of milk or water. Look, another DC socket. They love these DC sockets. And then these are hooks that come down. This one didn't come with a cargo cover rather, but you can put one in. Then if you want to lower these third row of seats, pull down this tab. The headrest will fold and you press forward. That's pretty easy. That folds down. Same thing for this one. That folds down. If I want to lower the second row seats, there's no way to do it from back here. That's unfortunate. You are going to have to go around to the side and lower it that way. Magic, how did that get back in there? Wow. Do this one. And now it's a completely flat load floor. That's cool. Look at all that space. Look at it. What are you going to do with all that space, guys? It's amazing. So yes, no way to lower it from here or raise it. So you're going to have to do that manually. And my editor will have listed the cargo specs by now, right, JD? Yeah? Okay, cool. So you know the cargo specs. Huzzah. And with that done, it's time for what? What do you think it's time for? Is it time to party like it's 1984? No, it's time for your big bottle test. So let's see, is there space in the new MDX for your big bottle? Do you like that startup graphic? I did. Let's see about these front cup holders. Okay, so there is a big enough opening, but they taper, so you can't press it all the way down, and that could slide out and cause some damage. So that's not going to work. Center console. Oh, that's pretty shallow. Yep, that's not going to fit. Oh, and now I've got these. Look at this. Now I've got these cards everywhere. What have you done, Acura? Let's try the door pocket. Oh, ho, ho. Yes. Yes, that fits nicely. And of course, it's going to stay when the door closes. I'm not going anywhere, Acura. It's okay. Glove box. It's already got the manual in there. Not going to try that. But we've got a pass for your big bottle test and the new MDX. That means all we got to do left, start it up, give it some gas, rev it out, and take it for a drive. All right, we're going to start this by going into the sport drive mode, and then I'm going to give it some full-on acceleration. Let's see how it does. Okay. Takes a second, but we get moving. And the engine sounds like it's working, that's for sure. It doesn't quite have the refinements of a German powertrain. It kind of just shouts at you while it's doing its business. But that launch was acceptable. 0 to 60 in the MDX is 7 seconds, and we've got a 3.5 liter V6 that's carried over from the last generation MDX. some minor improvements. I think they update the air intake system, but it still makes 290 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque. It is connected now to a 10-speed automatic gearbox instead of the old 9-speed. And this 10-speed, they lowered the first gear to help it with the launch off the line. And I did feel like it was peppy through that first and maybe even second gear off the line, but we're still working with a 7-second 0 to 60 time, so it's not going to, you know, light your hair on fire with the acceleration, but it does just fine. And this 10-speed automatic gearbox, apart from the launch, is pretty good if you've left to its own devices. If you just let it work its way through the gears, it's going to be quick, especially in sport mode, and it will downshift through a few gears and get you going quickly. But if you try to take over manual control, you've got these paddles on the steering wheel here. You can press the sport powertrain mode. You don't have to do that to use manual paddles. You can just pull the paddle and you're all of a sudden in manual mode. I don't like that there isn't a dedicated manual mode. I wish there was a way of just fully going in manual so that it would stay in manual. Otherwise, it will default back to automatic mode. So if you go into manual mode and you start pulling some paddles, and then you get on it, full throttle, here we go. Well, it auto upshifts, according to this, before red line. So it auto upshifts at 6250 RPM instead of holding it out to the 6750 RPM that it supposedly has accessible to it. That's quite odd. I don't really like that. That and the other thing, after you've downshifted and you get on the gas full on, there's like this moment of hesitation where it's like, are you sure we want to accelerate? Is that actually what we want to do? So downshift. That was me full on the gas for 2 full seconds before it started picking up. That I don't love. And I don't think I can blame pre-production for those woes. That's just an oddity of this MDX's 10-speed automatic gearbox. So that can be improved for sure. Let's hope that the Type S, 1 with additional power, but 2 with hopefully some refinement to this 10-speed automatic gearbox, will improve that foible right there. Beyond the powertrain and transmission, Acura is giving the new MDX some good performance hardware. So we're placing a McPherson strut front suspension with a double A-arm setup and an updated multi-link in the rear. So that's going to improve torsional rigidity, help it corner flatter, while also absorbing more things that would unsettle the SUV. On top of that, we've got bigger front and rear brakes with more resistance to heat buildup and a new brake booster that's going to improve braking feel. On top of that, we've got a belt-driven variable ratio steering rack, so it requires less input in performance situations to pivot the vehicle. And then, finally and most importantly, we've got an updated super handling all-wheel drive system. It's Acura's latest generation of that system, and therefore we can send 30% more torque to the rear wheels for a total of 70% max, and up to 100% of available torque to the left or right-hand sides of the vehicle. We're gonna see how that all adds up when I take this corner, which of course it's a red light, so we're gonna have to sit here and wait a second. I'm gonna try to feed it out, let the vehicles roll through so that I can take it a little more aggressively. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna do stupid things and put too much power. Great, that was really good. It cornered very flat through there. It didn't understeer, which is what I feared, and of course didn't oversteer, but it cornered very flat through there. I could feel the super handling all-wheel drive system working to put the power where it needed to be. Didn't feel too much body roll. I felt like the turn-in was super sharp and immediate and responsive, and I could really feel it through the wheel. But kind of mid-corner, I wasn't too terribly sure what was going on. I could hear the tires going, and I could sense the limits of grip there, but not a ton of that was communicated through the wheel. Maybe that could be tightened up just slightly, but it was good. It was fine for an electronic steering rack, and the variable ratio system was definitely working there. I didn't really have to put too much effort into the wheel to actually pivot the car around that corner. So that was all good stuff. Now, I'm gonna hammer hard on the brakes right here, and we'll see how they feel. Okay, so sent my backpack flying. That was good. Definitely hauled the vehicle down, and there wasn't too much nosedive there. That's good. I found that the immediate response from the pedal, I didn't necessarily feel like there was a good amount of initial bite, but as I dug in deeper into the pedal, I definitely felt like we were coming to a stop, like it was going to haul the vehicle down. So that's good. I like the braking performance out of this MDX. Maybe just a little more initial bite there. So yeah, I mean, if we can put the powertrain and transmission to the side, which you can't do that all the time, the handling improvements are phenomenal. Handling and braking improvements are phenomenal. That's all good stuff. And so now I'm going to take it out of sport mode. Let's go to comfort. While we're doing this, we can maybe even try a U-turn test here. And we're gonna just relax a little bit and see how it does as a luxury SUV. Okay, so U-turn test. Pretty good. Pretty good for a 3-row SUV, definitely. I feel like, you know, this wasn't a tight parking lot, but I was able to turn into the middle lane, solidly into the middle lane, no swing wide into the third lane there. That was all good stuff. Okay, so luxury SUV stuff. We've already, well, I haven't talked too much about the seats, but the seats are very, very comfortable, and there's a lot of adjustability here, so I can definitely find a comfortable driving position. There's now more tilt and telescoping to this power adjustable steering rack, so I can definitely find a place that feels comfortable to engage with the vehicle, but also is comfortable to just relax and commute in this SUV. Beyond that, the cabin quietness is excellent. They did a nice job reducing the NVH levels. They do that through acoustic film on the front glass, and there's also these resonators within the wheels that kind of dissipate a lot of the unnecessary or unwanted noise that would come into this cabin. And they also improved, that was one thing they changed with the 3.5, they reduced the NVH. So all of that leads to a pretty tranquil cabin. There's only one situation where I find that this MDX is a bit loud, and I'm pretty sure this is pre-production stuff. I'm hearing some wind noise right around the moonroof level, so I think that's probably a seal that hasn't been fully vetted, fully, you know, knocked out all of the additional wind noise that comes through there. But yeah, again, beyond that, this is a thorough luxury vehicle. So quiet, so comfortable. The suspension is very good in 99% of the situations. Under the really harshest of bumps, you do feel a little of that transferred into your body. That maybe not quite as solid as perhaps the Lincoln Aviator. I found that ride quality to be buttery. That was awesome. I did get a chance to experiment with the active driver assistance features as well, like the adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist, and I found them to work pretty darn well. There were certain situations where it was a bit busy finding its way in the middle of the lane, but those technologies work for sure. And that means that the MDX, the 2022 MDX, is a really solid SUV. Maybe not full-on performance, just held back by that powertrain and transmission. But let's look at the competitors and see how it matches up. So pricing for the new MDX starts at $47,925, just under $48, and that is going to get you a front-wheel drive model, not going to give you the super handling all-wheel drive, and it's not going to have any of the packages, the tech, the A-Spec, or the Advance. I think the A-Spec is really nicely equipped at $58,125 to start, $58,625 with that premium paint that we have on this one. Then it is, we already went over the performance, but the fuel economy, we didn't touch on that. That's going to be 19 city, 25 highway, 21 combined. So acceptable for an all-wheel drive vehicle. And that is for the super handling all-wheel drive one. The front-wheel drive, that's one more combined MPG for 22. The competitors, just going off down the list of cheapest to most expensive, we've got the Genesis GV80 that's going to start just under $50,000. It's going to make 300 horsepower from its 2.0 liter turbo engine, so more power than this. 0 to 60 is going to be quicker, 6.4 seconds to 60. Fuel economy is going to be slightly better at 22 combined. That's what you get with a 4-cylinder versus 6. Man, this is a long light. And what else do we got there? The cargo capacity is slightly worse than the Acura MDX at 12 cubic feet behind that third row of seating. Then if you want to spend a little more money, we've got the Lincoln Aviator for just under $53,000. That's going to make 400 horsepower from its twin turbo 6-cylinder. So a lot more power than this. And the 0 to 60 time is going to follow, 6.0 seconds, so a full second faster to 60 than this Acura MDX. Beyond that, fuel economy is pretty good. I think it's 20 combined MPG, so just one MPG off, but making, you know, gobs more power than this. And the cargo space is right on par. I think it's 18 cubic feet of space. Then you want to spend even more monies. You've got the Audi, rather, I confused the two of them. Audi Q7, that's going to start at $56,000. and it's going to make 248 horsepower from its 2.0 liter 4-cylinder. So less power than all the vehicles that I mentioned here, and the 0 to 60 time is dead even with this somehow. And the fuel economy of that, even though it makes less power, is still only going to be 20 combined mpg. Cargo space is going to be 15 cubic feet of space. So the Acura MDX, as I've already kind of glossed over here, is really held back from being a full-on thoroughbred performance luxury SUV by that powertrain and transmission. So I'm hopeful, very hopeful, that the Type S that is to come is going to really bring it with improving those two things to just push this over, because the exterior and interior of this new MDX is phenomenal. I think it's perhaps the best looking 3-row SUV you can buy right now. Seriously. And this interior doesn't really give much, if anything, up to its full thoroughbred luxury SUV rivals. And the handling is there, the ride quality is there, and so that means it just is a powertrain and transmission away from being one of the best in class. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hate ending at a stoplight, but I'm going to do it anyway. The 2022 Acura MDX, really solid, small ways to improve. I'm very excited about that new Type S that's coming. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you again next time.